it going. Together. And take it back. And feet shoulder width apart, knees bent, hips tucked, shoulders relaxed, spine nice and vertical. So the neck is lengthened. So owl gazes backwards, palms parallel to the ground, open the chest, rotate the shoulders, look over the right shoulder, and back. And release. Palms up, look over the left shoulder, and release. And again, sure. Let's just get the upper body warmed up. So hands up, turn the hands, look up, and then drop the arms to the side. Again, sure. Reverse direction. Front. So dragons. Separating heaven and earth. On down. Now bend forward. So straighten the legs. Roll down. Roll down. Just exhale, relax. Relax the neck and shoulders. Hands and kidneys lean back. And back to center. And again, straight. kidneys, lean back. And again. Straighten the legs. Roll down. Come back up. Hands on kidneys, lean back. And sit. And time. Stand up. Going from side to side. So stand up and gently swing from foot to foot. And back to center. Now back up. Hands on kidneys, lean back. And back to center. And carry the tiger. Right. Reach up. And open the chest. Again. Hold. Go and drop. Now cow gazing at the moon. Excuse me. Palms out. Keeping hips square. Turn. Look between the hands. And release. ghosts. Hands back, elbow to opposite shoulder, and to opposite knee, and back up. Twist. Switch hands and knee to elbow to knee. And release. Now play the pipa. Shift, turn. Set. Now horse stance. So nice deep squat. Push the knees apart. And sit back up. So, horse stance. Bear shaking its tail. So turn, sweep, look over the shoulder, back, turn, sweep, go over, back, turn, sweep, look over, back, turn. And now, squat. Get that stretch, toes down. And switch. And switch. Toes up. And switch. And back to center. Walk the feet in. All right. So now, let's take a look at the arms in the 13 postures. So the first thing to remember is that the arms And the relationship between the arms, the shoulder, and the movement, all of that is elastic, right? So we're going to talk about arm positioning, holding the arm in a specific place. It doesn't mean that the arm is fixed or that the shoulder is fixed. We're always going to be moving, closing and expanding and all that, right? One of the, it's not a mistake or misconceptions or that happens is since we do Tai Chi slowly, we end up spending a lot of time in one position, right? And so it's easy to think of things as being fixed when what you should be thinking about is the contraction and expansion, contraction and expansion. And a lot of the power actually comes from that. So from the fact that the shoulder joints and the arms are not necessarily fixed, they should be more like rubber whips, right? So there's a position which is ideal, but that position is then relative and is going to bounce, move, expand, and contract as the moves go through. So it's not about cementing the arms into a specific position. It's more spotting the moments where at fullest extension, these are the principles that should be applied. But it doesn't mean that now everything is rigid and you can't move, right? Because the arms are in just a specific spot. It is a tendency because in certain schools of Tai Chi, like the whole idea that the hips don't move or are always at exactly the same level, so that as you move, there's never an up and down in how you move because the hips are always along the horizontal planes. There's no up and down, which can't be correct. I mean, in the form, we have all of these kind of lowering and rising. When you walk, when you move, if you were in a fight, you would always be moving up and down. So we're always deforming the references that we're using because the first reference that we have in terms of the arms and even the hip positioning is the basic posture, right? So the basic posture really needs to become the reference point for everything that we do with the arms. And that means what they call sinking in the chest, which is really rounding the back, which means the shoulder blades are flat along the back. So the arms are slightly forward, the shoulder joint is open, and there's room under the armpit, right? So instead of being here, it's here, and here, and here, right? So the arms are not here, the shoulders are dropped and rotated slightly forward, so there's space, room under the armpits, right? So whenever we do the basic posture, that should be the thoughts. Like, how can I have this position? Notice that elbows are dropped. They're not here because if your elbows are down, then you're shutting off with the shoulder joint. So in order for the shoulder to be open, the elbow floats up a bit, but it doesn't float up high enough that you feel the tension in the shoulder. Like here, I'm using my shoulder muscles in order to hold up my elbow. So the elbow drops so that my shoulders can be relaxed. But because my shoulder is open, also the shoulder joint is open, my elbow is not sunken down, right? This is closed, this is open. So my elbow finds its position when you have the relaxed shoulder, upper shoulder, and open under shoulder, if that makes sense, right? So the position of the arm is actually dictated by the shoulder, right? And the easiest thing to do is if you really relax the shoulder and let the arm just swing, right? And you let it swing and then you just hold it right there. That's the natural position for the arm. So notice when you swing, the shoulder has a natural bend in it. The arm is not straight, right? You're not swinging your shoulder here. You actually have to use muscles to hold the arm straight. So there's a slight bend in the elbow. So, and the hand is an extension of the forearm. So if you just swing, everything is nice and relaxed. Just hold it. Arm is elongated. And it's actually a good exercise and a good test. So if you're ever going to teach this to anybody, hint, having them do this exercise is actually a really good way to see, and for people to see within themselves what they're holding, right? Because if you ask somebody to just release their shoulders, relax their shoulders, and just swing the arms and then to hold them up, a lot of people are going to be here. And so now you see essentially what tension they're holding subconsciously without even thinking about it. Because if you just relax and let your body do just the natural movements, this is the easiest thing in the world. Boom, you're in the correct position. You don't have to think about it. It's simply the expansion of the arms. If doing this exercise gives you these kind of results, right, it's because the shoulder is locked. So now you know what to work on and what to focus on in order of relaxation, right? So natural relaxed shoulder joint is going to give you the correct position for all the arms. So this is where you can begin, just as we did with the walking exercises, and walking from the point of view of the hip joint. And we're saying the step, right, is the same. This is determining the length of the step, because it's the hip joints that is swinging that tells you where the foot goes. Here it's the same thing. It's the shoulder joint that's telling you where the arm goes. So it's worth just doing these little exercises of just kind of relaxing, right? And even in yourself, when your students, just going, okay, where are your shoulders? What are you holding up? Boom. Right? And then from that position, from that arrangement of the shoulders, we can then start playing with hand placements, right? Turning the hands creates variations in the forearm. Elbow goes up because my arm goes up. So it's immediately just from here, just by turning the hands, you can see that the arms are starting to move because the shoulder is elastic, right? So now you're not going to force the elbow in place and then try to turn the wrist. You're going to let the whole thing expand and turn. So now your elbows have motion, right? And then you can start playing with up and down. So it's the same structure. The shoulder's still open, but now the arms move up and down, right? So now I'm creating different shapes, but I've moved from the core idea of shoulder blades are flat against the back. Shoulder joint is open, there's space, and by open I mean rotated forward slightly, right? So there's room, and now you can create all of these different shapes with the arms, but you're still actually maintaining the structure that is connecting the spine to the shoulders, and that's the most important structure. So whenever we do the 13 postures of form, what you should be thinking about is, where are my shoulders in relationship to my back? Is it being supported? But also, am I continuing that line of force? Because we're going to see all sorts of different shapes. But like even when, like here, this is done with the exact same shape as here, right? Boom. Right, so we keep seeing the same shapes over and over again. And it's simply because we're opening in the shoulder joint. And because the shoulder blade is flat against the back, so instead of the arm here, the arm is here, the shoulder blade, the shoulder joint is tied to the back muscle, so the back is supporting the arms. And that's really that's the secret. How can you get the back engaged in all the movements that we're doing so that the arms are never isolated? The arms are supported by the back muscles because the back is connected to the waist is connected to the legs. So any arm movement is connected to the legs so that it's powered by the legs and the power goes through the body. If the shoulder joint is out of whack, the power generated by the legs is not going to go through, up the spine and through the shoulder into the arms. So that's why this is important. So that's why the real point of focus whenever we talk about arms is actually the shoulder. The proper alignment of the shoulder. That's really where the mind should be. Everything else can be changed slightly. Okay? So for example, even elbow strike here, it's not here, it's here. How do I know? Because I'm focusing on how the shoulder feels. Right? So it's not about, is it here? Well, no, because now this is closed. Is it here? Well, no, because now I can feel that there's tension in the shoulder, so it's here. Right? So you can use the feeling in your shoulder to determine whether or not you're doing the movement correctly. That's really how all of this should be. Right? You should feel like, okay, here, shoulder supported by the back. This is the correct position. Right? So I don't have to look at the elbow. I don't have to think about the elbow. What I'm thinking about is the shoulder. This is too low. This is too high because I can feel it here. I don't have to look at it. I don't need a mirror or anything like that. I can just feel it here. Now the shoulder is properly engaged. So in all of this, always the reference point is the shoulder. How is it connected? Okay. So basic posture is your reference point. The way your shoulders feel in basic posture is the way they should feel throughout the form. Having said that, we're also not locked in that position. We're going to move in and out of that position, which is what I was saying before of doing Tai Chi slowly sometimes kind of freezes us in a position. You want to get the sense of compression and expansion, compression and expansion. So it's not, we're not locked here. Just sometimes we're going to close, but we close because we're going to expand. Or we expand because we're going to close, right? So in play the pipa, arm goes up here. This is slightly overextended, right? To really feel good, I should be here. I'm going to be here just because I know that the next thing that's going to come up, so I'm overextending because the next thing that comes in is a contraction. So you don't want to get, again, you don't want to get fixed. You don't want to be obsessed with, having the arms always rigid and unmoving. There is possibility for bigger movements, but it's because we go from big to small and we come back towards that position. Okay, so hold on. So let's go through the 13 postures and look at the arm movements, and so we can bring all these principles into the form itself as we go through. Okay, so we're gonna just walk through the form again. So from here, then we sit down, sit up, then come to the basic posture. So this is your chance to really kind of get the arms and shoulders in the correct position, and then shift, turn. Here the arms haven't moved from the basic posture, right? The arms are just an expression of the chest. So when I turn, and it's only now as the foot and the hand come together. Right. So this is an example, like for example here, this arm, the shoulder joint is slightly closed because my arm is low. That's okay, because the next thing that's going to happen is we're going to expand. So it's what I was talking about before. It's elastic, right? But notice that I'm still keeping the curve of the arm, right? So the arms are not sticking straight out. There's always that bend in the elbow. So there's always a curve in the arm. And now, here this arm is also creating a curve, right? So you have two curves. This arm is creating a curve. This arm is creating a curve. And then from here, we're going to expand that curve. Ward off. Curve in here. Notice that the curve is essentially the same as if you were to do basic posture, but then bring the hands in like this. The minute you do that, you're creating a little more of a circle. That's the position for ward off. So the one thing that's actually pretty amazing is how little movement you actually need in the arms to create these shapes, right? So from here to here, and it's not that the arm crosses in front of you, it's the fact that your body, so I'm here. It's because I'm turning the body sideways, but I'm still looking that way. Because my shoulders are pointing this way, my arm is now curved and it's in the way. Now I'm here. Right? But it's essentially taking from the basic posture, palms in, so that creates a little bit of a curve, and now turn the body, boom, now in ward off position. On the other hand, is simply turning down, like this, fingers pointing at the wrist. So we, literally all we've done in terms of the arm movements from the basic posture here is we've turned the hands and one hand drops. We go from here to here to here. Ward off. I'm cheating slightly. I'm simplifying things a little because of course, you're going to have, there's all that movement, right? And you're going to align your arm, like this arm is going to drop a little. This one, the whole point is that it's sweeping up. But in the end result, the arm position is essentially, right, it's here. So we've done this, here to here. That's it. That's literally all the difference in terms of shoulder mechanics, right? So that's what I'm saying. You keep finding the basic posture in all of these positions. Right? Does that make sense? So when we're here, I'm returning to the basic posture. Except that since we're sideways, we like doing basic posture here. And I'm just going to change the hands so they're facing front, or facing my direction of intent. Yep.
Yeah, or your left arm, there's still the spacing.
And there's still space. Well, in the left arm, there's a little less because you have to, right? So if I didn't drop slightly, I wouldn't be able to keep the hands facing the line of my intent, right? Because I've turned the body. So this is where, one of the things, and this is one of the core ideas of actually how we stand in terms of like our basic ready stance. Because the basic posture is not a fighting stance, but all you have to do to go from the basic posture to fighting stance is turn the foot to the side, step forward. Right, now this is my basic fighting stance. Notice it's simply the basic posture, but I'm angled my body to the diagonal, but I'm looking front. By shifting that, by moving my body to the diagonal, it means that now I have one hand that's forward and the other one back. So then all I have to do is if I drop the lower hand, right? So it protects the lower part of the body while the front hand is protecting the hip. But notice what happens here, because I don't want my lower hand to be pointing that way, I want my lower hand to be pointing front, it means that my shoulder joint has to close, right? Because I want my back hand to still be pointing front, so I have to close. So this is what we're saying, we're not fixed in that, it's not cement. In this case, you have to kind of close that back, the shoulder joint, in order for the hand to still be pointing forward. But because this is not the shoulder joint that's going to be receiving power or emitting power, that's fine. This is the empty arm, right? This is the arm that would be receiving power that's connected to the rear leg. So that's the joint that needs to be structurally correct. The back arm doesn't have to have the same kind of support for it because it's not actually exercising force. That make sense? So you can afford to close off that back arm. But keep in mind this, right? Basic posture, basic fighting stance. Right? So body's pointing to the diagonal, front foot's pointing front, right front arm towards front, rear arm also pointing front, which closes it off. So I'm not here or here, which would be, in terms of the joint would be correct, I'm here. Right? So basic fighting stance. Right? And that's what we have here in ward off. Basic fighting stance. Except that here we're going to go, we're going to emphasize the sweeping aspect of it and the hand pointing at the wrist. Right? Ward off. If you think of ward off not just as pushing, but like in this particular case, you think as ward off as breaking somebody's arm. It gives you a better sense of where the power actually is, right? Somebody puts their arm, so this is the beginning of the form. Rise up, right? Ward off. You imagine somebody puts their arm or grabs you by the shirt, wrap the arm over the arm, swooping it. This hand holds, step in, break. That's one of the applications. But also just that sense of clearing gives you a sense of what ward off is about, or up. Okay? And that's where you see why the arm needs to be supported. If you're going to brush with the arm, you want that whole power from the leg. And the arm, rear arm is behind, holding on. Okay? So let's keep going, because from here, grasp the sparrow's tail. Grasp the sparrow's tail. Again, going from this idea of basic posture, hand is going to turn. So you know if your elbow is too high by the feeling in the shoulder. Notice it's the hip that turns, it's not the hand. Yeah, it's the hip. The shoulder, there's a punch coming towards the shoulder, and the first thing is the movement, right? You hear, there's a punch, you turn, and the legs. This is what we talked about before with the steps and the waist. Turn the waist, but now the arm is up. Turn the waist. So we're gonna deflect. I'm gonna deflect and turn the hand. Boom. Boom. Shoulders open, shoulder blades are flat. You should feel like from this position here, you could push back. The arm is connected. All right? So here's another important point. So the elbow shouldn't be too close. So one of the mistakes is being here and then doing this, right? Where we're closing at the elbow. We're here and then doing this, closing at the elbow. The arm is still long. We're still here, right? The arm is still has this wide angle. So it's not a collapse, right? It's not collapsing the arm. It's actually quite the reverse. Because you want the arms to be in front. Because the circle is going to be in front of you. If you're here and you collapse, then your circle is going to be right here. It's a tiny little circle. So the arm is elongated here. Don't let the hand come back towards the body, is the important thing. So, yeah. So here's the thing. I can see the mistake. It's not the elbow that moves. Right? So what often happens is we're here and we think, okay, the hand comes out. That we think this is the movement. It's not. This is the movement. In the hips. The arm barely moves. The real motion is in the wrist, not the elbow. So don't think about bringing the elbow back. Think of turning the hand. Turning the hand. Right? It's not the elbow that moves back. Right? Here. And then you make it like a whip. So there's a little bit of bounce, but it's really the hand and the hip. Boom. 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 Going on a tangent, but this is exactly like sword form. I'm going to try not to. When you have a sword, right, and you deflect, right? You deflect. When you have a sword, you don't deflect by doing this. You deflect by doing this. You want to keep your sword and your opponent's sword as far away from your body as possible. So you're deflecting here. You're not bringing it here, because if I'm deflecting here close to my body, that's it. I just got stabbed. So it's this enrolling motion, right, that you have. Right? and it needs to be as small as possible. So in the case of the sword, you're rolling over kind of this part of the sword. And when you're doing without a sword, you're doing it with your hand. Trying to make all that collapse. So here it's this, right? Oh, outside. In the sword, you're going this way. In the here, we're going straight out. Does that make sense? So it's like capturing the hand far away, the arm is extended. We're not bringing the elbow in. Here, ward off, roll back, roll back. It's the hip that moves, not the elbow. Hip, not the elbow. Right? So, the arm is long, shoulders open. Here, arm is rounded. Through. It really is about finding the urge to bring the hands in. Let the body do the movement. It looks like you're doing this, it's actually just this. Going from here to here, here to here. And because you're moving the wrist, the elbow has motion. It's not fixed. Again, we're not cementing our joints. It's, yeah. Exactly. So, yeah. But the elbow the elbow moves in space, but barely moves in relation to the body. That's the important part. Yeah. Okay? Yeah, that's it. That's the important part. It's the one thing that always trips people up, because they look at Tai Chi and you look and it looks like you're doing these gigantic arm movements, but actually it's the waist that's doing the movements. Your arms usually are just doing this. They're just going up and down or something. But it's the hip that's creating all that motion. If you don't move the hips, your arms are doing this. That's it. You're just making a circle in front of you. But because your hips are also moving, you have all of that kind of back and forth motion. So that's why it's not the elbows coming in and then pushing, it's the hips moving. And all you're doing is this.
Yeah,
Punch go.
So they're really apart from the point of power.
Yeah.
Because if you grab something, pull it across like this, just your arm, there's really no power there. Now you add a sinking and a turning to it, and you can be pulling across your whole back, all your body weight.
Exactly. The arm is the last bit of power. The real power is in the waist. So if I hold onto your arm and I pull, it's the waist that's pulling, it's my body weight behind it. It's not the arm pulling, it's here. But in case of grasp the sparrow's tail, we're gonna barely move. We're not gonna pull, but you could. You could just end the move right there. Somebody throws a punch and you just go, make them go back. But here we go, here, and then throw the punch back. And again, it's the rising that provides the power. It's not the arm moving, it's, so we go from here to here. So we're just making a circle. All right, from here to here to here. That's it. Notice this arc is present at all times. The arc of the arm. So it's just a rotation in the shoulder, but the arc is present. But because I add the hips, boom, it makes it look like I'm traveling through space a lot more. Right? So that's the secret of grasp the sparrow's tail. There's the rear arm is in defensive position. So you want to think, so if I do grasp the sparrow's tail, but just the arm drops and comes up. Drops, comes up. And again, it's this idea of, so the rear arm is a little more closed simply because you're pointing it towards the front. So instead of being in line with the shoulder, it has to be slightly more closed because it's in line with the front. You're in line with intent. But I'm just doing this and this. This and this. So the height of the hand is determined by the shape of the arm and the fact that the shoulder is relaxed. So I want to curve in the arm because that's what's stronger. This is not strong. This is easy to, right? Because your arm is, this angle doesn't allow the muscles to be engaged. So this is easy to push up. This is a lot harder. This is a lot firmer. This, there's no strength because now your elbow's locked. So it's here. So when I'm here, create that arc. And now I have a hand. I don't have to think about it. It's there. It's protecting the lower belly. And then I come up here. Same thing. I'm creating this arc. And now I have a hand that's protecting the upper part of the body. Right? So it's here, here. But again, this position of the arm, the shoulder's relaxed, and I'm creating an arc of an arm, but I'm bringing it, so again, I'm closing the shoulder slightly because this is the non-dominant arm, so that the hand is in place.
When you scroll here to here, is it almost a feeling of holding a physical ball?
Yeah. Yeah, so this is like rolling a ball, but it's a ball that's getting bigger, right? So it's not here, it's here. See how it's like you're stretching taffy, right? You're pulling taffy between your arms, right? You don't want to get locked in just doing this. It's not, right? It's not this and then you move. It's all happening at once, so it's expanding. It's an expanding ball. That's what, right? It's like a rubber band that you're stretching towards, or taffy, or whatever you want. It's here. But yeah, there's a connection. You can feel a connection between the palms. Right? This is where that shift between working on applications and working on energy, if you're here and you just go, and you can really feel that connection between the hands. But the application is, see, and this hand is slightly forward because I need to create that arc. So it's not just here, it's here, because the shoulder now is more open, as opposed to here that's blocked, here. Okay? So hopefully this, I mean, we're spending a lot of time just on grasp the sparrow's tail, but hopefully it shows how these kind of shapes work, how the arm works as an extension of the shoulder. All right? So let's keep going, because it's also important to look at the places where we're not creating these perfect shapes, right? And right after here, we come back, press. So press, notice, rounded arms, back is rounded. So this is almost a perfect position. It's just you go from basic posture to closing the wrists. That's press. From here to here. All right? So you have the arc of the arms. Shoulders are lengthened. So you're not here, you're here. Basic posture, press. Basic posture, press. Basically the same thing. But now we go from press, and we go through all of this. Seal it closed. And this is what I was talking about before of contraction and expansion, right? Because all of this, so we were here in press, everything is nice and open and elongated, and we drop the elbow, bring the hands in. Turn the hand over. So notice all of this is pretty closed, and then we expand. So there's two things. So here already, first of all, we're not going to go to the side. We're going to keep this triangle in front of us. So your belly button is the I don't remember my geometry terms now, but right, it's going to be the midline, and that's going to be your reference point. So after the press, you drop the elbow, and in dropping the elbow, now my palm is pointing up, because simply by dropping the elbow, right, it rotates my hand. So here, and I drop the elbow. Bring the hands in, but not too much. So again, here, the difficulty is going to be, how do you bring the hands in without crumping too much? So the secret is you just bring the hands in slightly. So you're still creating this kind of triangle between the arms, belly, right? Boom. So it's this triangle. You don't want to go too far because now you flatten your triangle and there's none left. So you want space. So essentially what you've done is you've contracted, turn and control, and now this is the expansion. Right? But even in the contraction here, my shoulders are relaxed, my back is round. So my shoulder joint is closed, but I'm still following the same rules of relaxed shoulder, rounded back. So it just means that now my arms are actually not really useful for push, right? I would be pushing with the body, but I've just contracted, control, and now I expand. And so the push here comes from that expansion of the shoulder joint. Right? Because the shoulder was contracted, now there's room for it to expand. If the arms, and something we keep seeing, if you're going to push, the first thing you have to do is contract, because you can't push from this position. Right? If I'm here in my basic defensive, I can't really hit with that front arm unless I'm very good at it. I'm doing like a 1-inch punch, but otherwise from here, there's very little extension, so I have to contract in order to expand. Yin before yang. Same thing here. We contract, now I expand. Right? If we follow through, contract, expand. Right? So we're also playing with that contraction expansion of the shoulder joints. All right? So that's why I keep saying these are elastic relationships. We're not cementing arm positions. The reference point is the basic posture, but within that, then we have that elasticity. We want to play with contracting and expanding of the joints, right? But the shoulders are always going to be relaxed. You always want to have that sense of the shoulder blades flat against the back, which is what sinking in the chest is all about, right? So sinking in, we're not here, it's here. It's the shoulder blades rotating and flattening. Okay, so does that make sense? So that makes sense. So here, boom, boom. So this should also prevent you from going too far in, right? Because you want to feel like you've maintained that kind of triangle in front of you, that shape. This is too flat. Now I'm completely, dislocated in the shoulder. So it's just here, turn, and then strike. Right? And we strike and we're here. All right, so that's the first section. Because afterwards we just come back, cross, the arms are horizontal, drop the elbows, arms are vertical, rise up and push. Right? We can see here, contract, expand. All right? Because then from here, we just go and do the same on the other side. And the arm relationship is exactly the same on the other side. All right? So, from here, sit back. And here, the crossing of the arms, same, it's as if you were doing basic posture here, except you cross the arm. So it's not compressing here. There's again that space in the shoulders, right? You are here, come back, and then sit. So it's just as if I was doing basic posture here, in that position, but I fold the arms, and I drop the elbows, and then rise up and push. Right, you're receiving a push here, so it's, you want to feel like here, your shoulders are actually connected to the spine and to the leg, because you could resist from here. You've absorbed as far as you want to go, and you could resist from here. So that's why you don't collapse the arms. We don't go here, we go here. Right? So you could resist here. Here. All right? Yeah. Good. All right. So let's move on to the second section. Same thing here. This move here, again, we're essentially what we're doing is we're just dropping one arm more than the other. But the relationship between the arms is the same as basic posture. Just that we're turning, and then this arm drops. You're just going like this. Boom. Boom. That's how little movement there actually is. It's literally where you're going from here to here. That's it. But because the body is moving through space, the hands create these large arcs. But in relationship to the body, all you're doing is this. Right? That's it. It looks like this huge move, but it's not. And so here we have the same arc of the arm, shoulders open, right? And even here the hand comes to rest, making the tiger's mouth behind the thigh. But the arm still has that arc. So we're not straight, we're not closed, we're open. Shoulders are open, arc of the arm, resting hand in the tiger's mouth, resting behind the thigh. Right? And here this palm facing out, basically in front of the belly button. But this, essentially this. Right? We're a little closed because we're going from here to the midline, here to the midline below. Right? But otherwise, we're still maintaining those relationships, right? As much as possible, even though we're closed here. Here we go. And then we rise up, and here again, arms arc. So that's what determines the distance. We're not here, we're not too far. You're creating that arc, pull down, and then push. Notice again these arcs of the arm. So when you're pushing, right? So I'm here, yank down, and push. So when you push, you don't want the arm to straighten. Just here to here. Again, this arc of the arm. Shoulders are open, right? Shoulders relaxed. Shoulder joints are lengthened, right? So this should be fairly simple and relaxed. Arms are extended. So then from here, because the arms are extended, notice again we have this compression here, but we don't care. Here the arm is open. This arm is open. Right, the space under the armpit. This one has less space under the armpit because again it's the rear arm that is coming towards our midline, and because we're pointed to the diagonal, the only way you can do that is by closing. But it's the rear arm, so it doesn't have to express power the same way as the front arm does. So it's okay if it's slightly closed. Okay? So then when we do brush knee, we come back. Boom, boom. So here, there's a closure, right? But it doesn't matter because the real motion is here. This is the moment of deflection. And here the shoulders open. And then it comes up. And now here is the moment of expression. This is a ward off. So at the moment I take that big step, I should be in the correct position, which means the arm is rounded, the shoulder is extended, there's arm space under the armpit. So even if I'm closed here, the minute I can, I open that shoulder because now I'm expressing energy, so I want to have the proper structure. And same with this, with the rear arm, this might feel a little closed, but the minute I'm here, my shoulder is actually open. Right, so I'm not here, I'm here. Right, because I want the shoulder to be open, because now, boom, I'm expressing energy. And you can feel that here both shoulders are open. And by that I mean there's space under the armpit, shoulder blades are flattened, arm is in an arc, it's slightly forward. So by the end of brush knee, both arms, since both arms are expressing energy, both arms have open shoulders. And again, right, you want to have kind of the sense that your arms are whips. They're not sticks, they're whips. So there's that opening. It's really a feeling in the back. And is your back engaged in moving the arms? And then the arms can have kind of flexibility and have that kind of that movement where you can feel that you can snap into the correct position extremely quickly because your back is engaged. So it doesn't matter if your arms are here, you can go, right? If your arms are too closed, you go from closed to open by engaging the back. So it's really that focus on the back, on the upper back, that makes the move correct more than exact hand position. Okay. And of course, as we do the form, you want to soften everything. But part of what allows you to soften and relax so much is the fact that the back is engaged. If you do this and you're kind of closed in, then not only is there no power, but you're actually blocking the energy from getting all the way to the end of the hand. Like, this is not a correct position. There's no flow going to my arms. But if I do the same move, but I focus on the back, make sure everything is open, just as relaxed, but my back is engaged, I can feel the energy going all the way to my fingertips. Right? So you're using the back in order to create the space and the openness in the entire arm structure. So that's why the back has to be engaged. It doesn't matter whether you think of the application or just relaxation, the back does the work. And because the back does the work, the arms can be relaxed. Right? Does that make sense? So you're here because you want the armpits to be open, because that's what allows for blood flow and energy flow. So the back has to be engaged in order to have a relaxed arm and relaxed shoulders. Okay. You don't want to mistake relaxed for collapsed. Right? Relaxed doesn't mean that, everything is down and relaxed and collapsed. What you have instead is the back is opening everything, and because everything is open, flow is happening. Right? Arms are moving, and they're supported by the back, and that's why you have flow. And flow is much more important than, you need to be relaxed in order for the flow to happen. But if you're collapsed, then you're restricting the flow. So it's this balanced, this balance between how much muscle you're engaging in order to create a shape which is actually open and allows for flow. That's the balance that you want to find. It's not about how just completely soft and collapsed are you. This is not good flow. This is better flow. And you can feel it when you move. You can feel it. You feel it all the way to the fingertips when the back is engaged. All right. So let's quickly take a look at play the peep-up. Play the peep-up here. So same thing. Same support of the shoulders. Boom, boom. You don't want, so even though the movement is here and you're bringing everything back in, you don't want to collapse it and be so tight, right? Because you're coming in, pulling. Keep it open in the armpits. So it's here, here, and then we open again. So you're gonna have this motion like drawing in and expanding. but you don't want to draw in so much that you're squeezing. It's draw in, let the hips do the work, and then expand. And again, the back arm is creating this arc. That is essentially the fingertips are connected to the elbow. And the front arm is also creating this arc. Right? Creating this arc. You don't want it to be too tight. You don't want it to be the angle to be too sharp. And then expand. Right? Because this is an arc. This is a spiral that you're creating. Deflect, draw in, push back. Deflect. So this is the side of the arm is being engaged. Draw in, the elbow is being engaged, and then push back. The back of the arm is being engaged. So the contact point and the location of the energy projection is different. Go from side to elbow to back. Side, elbow, back. Or side, elbow, punch, right? That's what you're doing. Boom. So the arm is going like that. But you have the whole body weight behind it. And again, like the sword form, if there's a sword pointing at you, you don't want to bring your sword or your arm all the way to the side, because now that leaves you exposed. The arm rarely goes past your own midline. So in this case, it's just here. Right? Here I can feel I can feel in the shoulder joint I'm closed off. Here I'm still open. So that's going to be the limit of my arm movement. I'm going to come here, I'm still open in the shoulder joint. So that's as far as I go. Here I'm closed. Here I'm open. Right? It's a slight difference, but you feel it in the shoulders. So that's why I keep saying the shoulder is your reference point, but you're here. Go from here to here. That's it. The body does the movement. So the arm goes from up to front, back. Up to front, down, and back up. That's it. All right.
And so that you're still squared on the center.
Yes.
Center shifts.
Because, so if this is my line of intent over here, I turn, I'm now pointing to the diagonal, but that's because I've stepped. It's not because I bring my arm across as far as possible. My arm is actually somewhat in front of me. Right? My hand is actually in front of my face. But because I go from facing this way and I step, so now I face this way. Right? So it's the stepping that makes the big circle. It's not the arm.
So what I'm realizing again is the arm moves very little.
The arm moves very little. Exactly.
Probably like that.
Yeah. Right. It feels big because we start here on the side, right? Because we were here after brush knee, so the arm is down. So we have to bring the arm up and around. But once it's up and in front, it's the body that makes the rotation. It's not the hand, right? So once you've brought the hand essentially in front of you, that's it. Boom. That's the amount of deflection that you do. So the hand ends up essentially in front of your face. A little lower, but that's what does this move. And then you can draw in and then you can expand. But the hand is essentially here. And all you have to think about in a deflection, if you're here, all you have to do to deflect is this. Anything more than this is wasted. Boom. Boom. Right? It's like this scooping motion that's happening, and that's all you need to do. Anything more than that is wasted. Again, sword, if I deflect more than this, it's wasted. If I'm here, what am I? I'm left myself open. So I go from here to here, here to here. That's it. Any more than that, and it's, I don't know if you can see it with the camera, but like the arc, that's basically what I'm doing. Just doing this. Boom. So it's the same thing that we're doing with the hands, right? With the hands, we're just from here to here, here to here. Same scooping motion. But we're just going to bring the steps, right? So the stepping moves the body. So then we do that scoop, and then we pull, and then we push back. And again, a lot of that is just the hips and the stepping, not the arms.
A lot of Shingi line.
Yes.
But just adding waist turns and softening the arms when they're not in play.
Yep. Exactly, that Shingi line, exactly. Where we're actually, the arms, I mean, when you think about it, especially if you look at the roots of it as a martial art, your arms have to be in front of you. Otherwise, they're not protecting you. You're going to get punched in the face or wherever. So your arms can never be too far away from that center, right? That center line. So your arms are constantly going to be doing things that are actually close to the center. They're never going to be out here. In this case here, notice we're immediately bring the hands in. And one of the reasons, by the way, we make this big arm is there's a hand here, so we want to come above it. So that's what we're trying to do. And also, if you think of momentum, right? The momentum created by the step, the momentum just brings your arm. If you just relax your arms and just do the step, the arms are doing this. So we're just mimicking this kind of rotational force and just controlling it. Generated by the step, not the arm. It's the step. If I just relax my arms and I do the step for play the pipa, my arms rotate. So I'm just going to use that power and control it. Boom. That's play the pipa. All right?
Say too, along with the shoulder as a reference, tiger's mouth in the line of intent is somewhat a reference because
line of intent is
you're keeping that here and here.
Yeah, exactly. So the line of intent is in the center. We're going to be here. It's the tiger's mouth. You don't want to get too locked in with that because sometimes you're actually hitting with a palm, with the edge of the hand, or any other part or punch, right? But essentially, yes, the tiger's mouth is your center. That's the line that should connect to the midline, or that's the point that should connect to the midline.
That's your starting point. You're striking home.
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah.
Here. Here. Here.
Yeah, exactly. So you're always gonna come back to that.
Yeah.
Right, that midline. So speaking midline, let's quickly talk about this. So this here in play the pipa, right? The rear arm comes here, here. Elbow stays up, so it's not here. Notice that one of the things it does is it keeps the shoulder dropped and open by having the elbow up. We're also that way moving the arm in the same direction as the punch, because remember, play the pipa, there's a punch coming this way, and we're going to hold it. So now my arm, right? So there's a punch. This arm is the opponent. It's coming here. I want my arm on top. So I don't want to be here because then I don't want to catch it. I want to simply slap my arm on top. So when it comes in, I just go boom. So I can use my whole forearm, but I want to be above the arm. Here. Boom. Boom. And then once our arm is here, then basically the fingertips match the elbow. We're going to fall. Yeah, exactly. And keeping the shoulder nice and low, nice and relaxed. Boom, as you do. All right, so let's play the pipa. So now let's quickly move forward. We'll go back and answer details in a bit. Third section, right? Drag down, we looked at before. Play the pipa. Play the pipa. Twist the joint. First thing that you should feel is here is that expansion. So we go here, drag down. Things are a little compressed, a little small, right? So the first thing that happens is we expand. And then turn. And everything is nice and big. Shoulders are dropped and open. Okay? So the first feeling into twist the joint is that opening. Go from here to here. Right? And that's a feeling that's in the shoulders. And twist. And then elbow. And so even so you've twisted the joint. Even here, you want to have that arm curved, right? Space under the armpit. So it's not closed off here. You're not collapsing the body. You're not going here. You're going here. You want to, because again, you want to have the arm be strong because that's a deflection. You've done twist the joint. Someone tries to kick you in the family jewels, you deflect. So you want the arm to have that curve and the arm to be supported by the shoulder. In order to do that, you have nice, long, extended shoulder joint, space under the armpit. Here to here. And then up. And even here, this position here, space between, right? There's a space between your hand and your chest. So it's not flush against your chest, right? It's not here, it's here, right? So it's not here, it's here. There's space. Because you want space to create the right architecture in the shoulder joint. Right, so again, it's the shoulder that determines where exactly your arms are. It's not the elbows or the hands. It's the shoulder. Where do the hands have to be in order for the shoulders, right, to be flattened and expanded? So that's why there's room here. It's not here. It's here. Same with shoulder, and then we just drop, creating. So we go from here to here. Notice arm is rounded. I'm not collapsing here to do shoulder strike. I'm expanding. The shoulder is actually opened and pushed out. Right. Right. And then shoulder.
You get my shoulders up too far when
Yeah, that's right. If your elbows are too up, your shoulder, then there's tension, so you want to go, elbows are here. Then you can go straight from here, because the shoulders are down, because your elbow is not too far up. Right here, I'm stuck, and this is wrong. Elbows down. So from here, just drop the arm, and the arm comes down into an arc. So you can feel that this whole, from finger all the way to the spine, is a single solid arc, solid structure, and that's what you're using to push or to hit. The creating of that arc solidifies the shoulder joint because now you're going to hit with it. So if you're collapsed, then no muscles is engaged in creating the structure of the shoulder. So now you're just kind of hitting bones, and it's just the force is transmitted through your inside. If you're here, And the structure, the bones and the muscles are all creating this solid mass. And so power goes through and out of you instead of inside of you, which is not what you want. Okay? Again, even if you're doing this as slow and relaxed as possible for the energy, you still want to do this because you want to have the open joints. You want to have that feeling of energy dropping and going down into the fingertips. If you're here, if you're collapsed, you're closing off the entire arm. The shoulder has to be open. And if it's open, you don't want the arm to just dangle. You create that arc. Now you have a structure. Boom. That's solid. Okay, so the arm is not just relaxed and hanging limbed. The arm is arced. It's created the roundedness, which actually helps to open the shoulder. No matter how relaxed your shoulder is. Right? All right? Because from there, when we go into central equilibrium, we're just maintaining the same basic shapes, right? Because I have the arc here, so when I sit back and turn, all I'm doing is I'm lifting that arc here, and now in the perfect position for ward off. So let's just go from here to here. I don't actually have to move the arm. It's mostly hips. Right? I go from here to here, here to here, and then I start lifting the arm up. And then that translates into central equilibrium. But at first, I just go from here, I have the proper position of the arm, to sitting down. And I see I don't have to move my arm at all to now be aligned correctly. Because I did it shoulder strike. And then I just lift the arm. Right, from here to here. From here, square the hips, lift the arm. If you do it all together, and the rear hand that was here, so this is a little closed because the purpose of, so this shoulder is not projecting power, it was just kind of protecting the face in this case. So this hand, first thing it does is open up. Right, it goes from here to here. And you can see that it can actually stay in space, stay in the same place in space. But because my body is moving back, now there's room. And I've opened the shoulder. And then, and notice this is an arc. So we go from arc, boom, open, go. All right? And that's basically it, because the rest of it we've already seen. Ward off, same thing, same arc. Roll back, same thing, same arc, just pointing up. Right? We've seen this. Push, press, same thing. Just the feet are different. But otherwise, the arms are basically the same for the rest of it. It's all of these variations, essentially, on the basic posture. So from here to here is basically the basic posture, but the arm out. Here, again, not going too far, just here. It's essentially the basic posture. That's roll back. Ward off, roll back. And that's it. All right? All right. We've been going, yeah, and then here, push, press, which is all the same. Push, again, same thing, basic posture, arms up, but you tilt the wrist a bit more because you're striking with the palm. But the push is essentially that. It's same position as basic posture, but here, palms up, boom. Curve in the arm, back is round, shoulders are relaxed. Same exact position. That's why I keep saying the basic posture is a reference point, always. If in doubt, go back to the basic posture. All right? And then just remember your arms should be like more like a rubber, so there's a little more, right? There's bounce to the arms, but it's basically the basic posture. All right. So let's close this off. Let's do a Celestial Tiger. We've been going for quite a while. So let's, again, that drop on the heel, just to shake the energy loose. And come back to center, so Celestial Tiger. Knees bent, hips tucked. Find your vertical. And shoot. Palms down. Shoot. Palms up. Shoot. Pointing out. Shoot. Palms out. Shoot. Pointing up. Arms down. Open the chest of the heavens. Reach back. Squat. Putting the hands above the head. And again. Time. Shoot. Fold the hands over to belly button. Dantian. And bring the feet together. And take a bow. All right. Class continues at hiddentaishi.com. Yes, there's more. Ciao.